Good afternoon and welcome to the November 1st, 2023 Legal and Finance Committee meeting. Now it's time for a roll call and determination of quorum.
Here.
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 Thank you. Now it's time for the adoption of the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion to adopt the agenda by Councilman Evans, a second by Councilwoman Seacrest. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Now it's time for general public comment. This is a time for the members of the public to discuss or express concerns to the council on any issue not on the agenda. Action will not be taken at the meeting on any issue not on the agenda except by placement on the agenda by unanimous vote of the council members present. I don't see anybody jumping up and down to speak. If not, I will open and close it. We'll move on to consent items 1 through 15, and I will open up item 4 through 9 for our director, Mr. Ainsley.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. The first item is simply another acknowledgement for another individual, or two individuals, I'm sorry, that we have with RSVP. They're just covered under our workman's comp insurance. Item number 5 is very important. It's our monthly sales tax report. I am very happy to note that August was a fantastic month for sales. And the 2% general sales tax month over month, we were up 2.2%. Which puts us year over year up 1.9%. That is lower than inflation and also doesn't include our growth. And so if you actually look at real per capita, it is lower, but still it is in the upward trend, which is good versus budget. We are up 3.2%. But I think really what is stellar here is looking at the tourism, the BBB numbers. Month over month, we are up 6.4%. Year over year, we're up almost 5% at 4.9%. Versus budget, because it was actually budgeted quite low. We are actually 25% higher than budget in the BBB. Looking at the general fund cash balance report, you can see the undesignated cash as of the end of September was just north of $4 million. However, I do want to note that in 2024's budget, we are anticipating using $5.5 million. In addition of undesignated cash to make 2024's budget balance. In addition, there are some additional supplements that are coming through, and so truly you do not have additional cash available in your general fund. I think that's very important to note. Now September is also a low cash flow month, and so that's not necessarily the biggest concern, but it's not that there's a lot of extra funding available to do new projects. And then item number 8 is just simply to acknowledge the Opportunity Capture Fund minutes from September. I apologize that those are late. I did not realize that those were supposed to be submitted to you, and so from now on those will be coming in sooner. And then lastly is a resolution amending certain fees. We do this twice a year. When you go through, there is a larger explanation. It is not every department that is requesting fees, but the police department is requesting a single change that correlates the accident report so that it coincides with state statute. The community development department is looking at a couple minor fees to be removed because they no longer provide those contractor licenses. The fire department is looking at adjusting rates so that they coincide with the public safety wildland fire rates. And then the Parks and Recreation Department has numerous changes in there, the most of which are within the Gulf areas, and that is so that we can meet our revenue needed in those individual budgets. As I think most of the council members remember, those are individual enterprise funds, and so it's necessary that the revenue meets the actual expenses incurred. And that is all, unless there are any questions.
If we don't have any questions from the dais, I think we do. Go ahead, Lindsay.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. Daniel, how often are the fees reviewed by the city from each of the departments and their, what does that process look like?
Go ahead.
Okay. Thank you for the question. We do look at the fee schedule twice a year, and we try to have the fees go into effect in July and then in January each year. I do want to note that the airport board is actually reviewing some of their fees, and so that'll be a separate action that'll be brought forward. Those airport fees are anticipated to go into effect in February. So generally, it's twice a year. We reach out to the departments and ask them to look at the costs that they incur for providing those services, because these truly are fees, they're not taxes. So the ideas are that the fees that are collected should directly correlate to the cost to provide the service that is being provided to that. With that being said, we've had discussions with the community development as well as Public Works that we do want to look significantly at those two departments' fees and have a larger package probably presented to you for your probably July fee adoption schedule. That's something that we're starting to look at very preliminarily now, but just having your radar that I think in 4 or 5 months there'll be a larger package with those two divisions or departments.
And so when you do that review, do you plan on having a council liaison kind of behind the scenes with you as you review the fee schedule in Public Works Planning Department?
We would be more than happy to have some council representation on that.
I didn't know what that process looks like, but thank you. That's all my questions.
Thank you. If we have no other questions, I'll move on to item 10 and turn it over to our Chief of Police.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Essentially what you see here is a mutual aid agreement. This is an agreement that was signed also by the Pennington County Sheriff's Office along with OST last year. And this would be the city following suit with them. Essentially, when resources and such are requested from the county, many times the police department, we're tied very closely with them, so there's a lot of overlap. And this agreement doesn't require us to do anything beyond what we already do. What it does is it supports the things that we currently are doing. So, for example, during L&I, we sometimes request assistance from OST police to work coordinated with us. And same thing for the Black Hills Powwow. Events like that, it puts a little more support behind some of the things that we already coordinate on. And additionally, if we're going down there to assist with resources or water rescue or whatever the case might be, provides a little bit of comfort on our end. So essentially, we're following suit with what the county did last year.
Thank you. Is there any questions from the dais? If not, I will move on to item 11 and move over to Mr. Beegler.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Item 11 is authorization to seek proposals for professional services for the Roosevelt Pool 50-meter enclosure, kind of also known as that dome project. As you recall, that project was awarded just over $1 million in Vision Fund dollars from the last round of Vision funding. Those funds are available in 2024. Now, in the interim, since this was awarded, we've looked at what was and was not included in the estimate that was obtained. And there are quite a few things that were left out that are going to be direct costs to this project. So what this request is for is hiring a consultant to actually take a look at the need and what the possibilities of a dome over that facility and what the new actual total costs would be. Now, at that time, it would be up to the council whether or not they would like to move ahead with this project, try to seek additional funding if it comes in that more is going to be needed for this project. But this actual request is just to hire a consultant to take a look at this and come up with an estimated new complete total cost for this project. One more thing just is that the funds to hire this consultant would come out of the awarded Vision Fund dollars.
Thank you, and I'll turn it over to Councilman Evans.
Yeah, at the Municipal League convention here, I spoke at length with the specialists there that do this as a living. And we talked at length probably for 2 hours about different pool structures and enclosures and stuff. And the ones that were there expressed concern to me that these particular dome structures create a lot of problems that maybe we had not considered and talked about when this was first discussed. I do want to express support for a project like this, though, because a city this size should have an enclosed, training lab space and everything. And all we have to do is look over at Gillette and see their fabulous facilities. I think that one was written up in an architecture AIA honor award. I mean, other towns not this size do that, so it's something we really need to think about, but we would need to do it the right way so it doesn't become a white elephant or something that doesn't really fulfill its purpose for more than a couple of years. So I just wanted to mention that. Thanks.
Thank you. And I also have a speaker request form on this. So, Mr. Pettigrew, would you like to speak on this?
Thank you, Councilman Roberts. I just have some questions, and I thought this might be a better venue to address them than at the full city council meeting, because it looks like we're going to have a pretty full meeting on Monday night. And I'll direct some of these to our Parks and Rec director, just to understand the apparatus. My initial thoughts are I think this is a luxury that the city can't afford right now. I don't know why there can't be better collaboration between the Roosevelt pool, the YMCA pool, School of Mines has an amazing swimming pool, that all these groups can't work together and find time to make something work. Maybe that's not feasible. I don't know if that's been looked at, but I just think to put a dome over a pool in South Dakota is just not feasible. My concerns are, we get hailstorms here. Is that going to be able to get through one of these tough hailstorms? Look at what the automobile dealers have had to do out by Rushmore Crossing. The insurance company basically told them, we're not going to insure your cars anymore unless you put some hail protection up. So what's hail going to do to this type of dome? And Jeff, is it retractable or is it a permanent dome? How's that work?
Go ahead.
This is an inflatable dome that would be set up for the late fall, winter, early spring months, and then removed completely for the late spring, summer, early fall. So it would be set up every year, taken down every year.
Okay. So has the president said this would probably be a better question for Councilman Maher. When a Vision Fund project is awarded, and then as this is showing, now they're coming back for more money, does that happen often?
Go ahead. You can talk about it, or I can talk about it. It doesn't matter.
Well, this project, and I was the chairman of the Vision Committee. This was our number 7th project out of 26. So the committee got way behind it, and it's not uncommon with the inflation we've had the last 2 years for project costs to rise. I agree with you, Rod. When I first read that project, I thought that's crazy, but then we vetted that project very thoroughly, and I had the hail question, and it can withstand hail. It can withstand winter. They have these domes in Alaska, in northern Minnesota. The big sell for me on this project was for just over $1 million, and now it's going to be more. We increased our swim lanes by 75% for 9 months of the year. And really, to build that Roosevelt pool outside in the first place, we should have made it a real building, right? But that probably wouldn't have been feasible with the money. But I also look at Rapid City growing, and in 10 or 15 years from now, we're going to need another rec center somewhere. And so that's was kind of our rationale is this could get us 15, 20 years down the road with swim lanes until a permanent structure can be built. Because I don't like blowing hot air up into a dome either. And then, of course, the increase in operating costs was the energy, the utilities, and you got to have some additional staffing. But one of the things the Vision Committee did, and I would encourage you to do this because I know you're good about visiting, go over to that swim center at 4 o'clock today and see how many people are in there. You would be shocked. There's people lined up waiting for swim time. There's swimming lessons, there's recreational swimming, there's swim teams lined up. And quite frankly, I guess if you could have swim practice at 11:30 at night, there'd be open lanes. But during the day and early evening, it's just, there's a very contentious effort to get those lanes reserved. Not only that, they charge the swim teams significant fees to use those lanes and to reserve them. So I think we have the need, I understand, but about your concerns, we had those as a committee and we vetted it, we ranked it number 7. And you know, we selected 16 projects that we recommended. The city only approved, I think, 11 or 12 of those. And this is one that the city approved. So it is approved, costs are going up. I still think it's a viable project, and I think hiring the professional services will get us in a better position to decide whether we should move forward.
Thank you, Kevin. I guess I just don't understand why all these, some of this additional cost now that they're requesting funds for wasn't part of the original estimate. Whenever I've built a building, building the building is the cheap part. It really is. It's the monthly expenses. What's the utilities going to cost? What's the extra staff going to cost? What's the property taxes going to be? What's the insurance going to be? Can you make the monthly expenses? And when there's $385,000 in additional operating costs, Jeff, would that be per year, or is that the extra $385,000? Is that going to be additional operating costs per year to heat it and staff it and all of that?
Yes, it would be an annual cost, and none of the additional operating cost dollars were included in the 2024 budget that was approved by council recently.
So where would those costs, that extra money come from? Does that come out of your budget?
Well, we would not have the funds to operate it in 2024. If this is a project that's going to go forward, we would come back in 2025 during the budget session and request the additional operating funds to operate the dome.
Can I ask a real
Yep.
quick question,
Yep.
Rod, since
Yep.
we're getting into this
Yes.
discussion? What is the, have you calculated what you believe the revenue is going to be off of this yet? Because I'm curious what the offset on that cost is going to be from the revenue.
Yeah, if you wouldn't mind, Doug Lowe, our Recreation Division Manager, is here, and I know he's been working on this a little more, and he probably could answer that right off the top of his head.
Thank you. Sorry, Rod, I just...
Am I good? Okay, thanks. Thank you for letting me talk. We're estimating about a 20% return, so about an 80% that we would be not having cost recovery on. So it's about $500,000, be about $100,000 we estimate as our revenue. So about $400,000 would be extra to the budget and the general fund.
That answers my question. Thank you, Doug.
So I'll close with 2 more comments, and I appreciate the time you've given me. Yesterday at planning, or Public Works, what's it called, John?
Public Works, yeah.
You know, we had discussion about a new road, and John, you were involved in that discussion where part of it's concrete, and because of budget, they're going to stop the concrete, I think in a critical area, and it's going to be asphalt. And given the use that new road, new street's gonna have, the heavy equipment running over it. I'm not criticizing city staff. They have to do what they have to do. They gotta look at their budgets, but a decision was made to not put concrete in the rest of the road for budget reasons. And I just think if we're looking at spending money, and I'm all for supporting all these activities. I'm not a swimmer. I took swimming lessons for 10 years, and I'll be honest with you, I never passed front float. I cannot swim. But I'm all for supporting it, but we're gonna cut funding or take a shortcut on a road that's critical, and once that asphalt is destroyed by these heavy trucks, we're gonna be back there doing it. So I just think it's not a good investment to spend additional funds here versus a road that is real critical. And given what the council is under right now, fire with the Hope Center and the homelessness, I think we're gonna have a tax on us if we're gonna be investing another $500,000 in a dome for swimming. I just don't think that looks good to the city council and to the citizens of Rapid City. So I guess we'll continue discussion at Monday night's meeting. Thank you, Councilman.
Thank you. Anyone else would like to get in with any comments?
I'm in there. You can't see me.
Okay. Go ahead, Lindsay.
Thank you, Chairman. I have another question for Mr. Biegler, if I may. Sorry, I guess, let me go back. I'm thinking along the terms of what Mr. Pettigrew was discussing, that we've seen O&M costs for swimming pools not be, come in much higher than what we've seen in, over the years, and that swimming pools in Rapid City have not always been a great investment. There's not a good return and ability for us to utilize the pools much throughout the year due to our weather conditions. My concern with this would just be the ongoing O&Ms, and if we had an 80% non-recovery user fee associated with that's building a large request into the Parks and Recreation budget, which we've seen historically being underfunded throughout the years. So I think those are all things we'd have to take into consideration. What I was going to ask you, Jeff, and I'm sorry I just completely had lost it, was what is our professional service fee cost anticipated to be with this? And you said that would be part of the Vision Fund package. That's the 1.1 that was approved. We know that we're short at least 120,000 from that initial request, and then so just kind of in my mind building, what we can be anticipating as a total cost of this decision today.
I do not have a dollar figure on what that might look like. Usually we request proposals and then we negotiate a price for anything additional to that. But we would come back to council with that for approval. So you would see that before we spent the money.
Oh, okay. So this is like a built-in double. We're moving through to.
Yes, we're just asking for authority to hire a consultant to get those answers for us.
Okay, makes sense to me. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Anyone else want to make any comments? If not, I'll move on to item 12. Do we have anybody that wants to speak about that? Just let us know real quick what expenditures there were.
So I serve as an administrative coordinator for our youth city council here in Rapid City. And the expenditure that's before you is to attend the National League of Cities Congressional City Conference in Washington, D.C. And they've went the last couple of years, and the experience that they've had has been pretty amazing. And this year, the council wanted to do their due diligence in doing a little bit more research on, are there other leadership conferences that they could go to or attend as a group that would focus on municipal government and learning more about that. And the reality is most of them are during the summer, and they are application basis and not as a group going to attend, the leadership conference. So then we went back to the drawing board, and during their fall retreat, they did identify different objectives, what they wanted out of the training, and they also identified some goals as to what they wanted to make sure to do once they attend a training. And so those are all written out on the request that you guys, I know, have access to. The $26,000, half of that would come from Pennington County. So 13,000 of the 26 would come out of the Sheriff's Department budget, and I've confirmed that with Commissioner LaCroix to make sure that that was still an agreement that they had agreed to, and it is. And so then, and then there'd be 13,000 from the city. Obviously, if we can save some cash, if we can save some dollars, we want to do that. They also want to make sure that the reason why it's coming forward a little bit earlier this year is because what we did feel last year was that inflation, and then we had also, by the time we were able to get the tickets bought and registration, all of the block rooms through the conference were already sold out. And so then we didn't get that discount. And so we actually did go over a little bit last year, the budget that was allowed. But we're hoping that first year it was right around that 16,000 for 8 young people and 2 adults to attend the conference. And then last year it was just a little over 26. So, and if there's any questions, I am more than willing to answer them. And young people are in school, so they're not able to answer, but I believe that they're going to be coming on Monday night, or we're going to have some representatives on Monday night too.
Thank you.
Yep.
If no questions, I'll move on to item 13 and 14 and turn it over to our fire chief.
Oh, it just all of a sudden showed
I'm
up.
not
I
even-
looked over at you and yeah,
I
it
don't
was
even
there.
have to do it now.
Thank you, Chair. I think 2 easy ones here. The first one is to sign a Dinosaur Park Tower indemnification and property transfer agreement. Give a little bit of history. Mayor Radio put up a radio tower, which we were able to put the city as a whole, put some of our radio equipment on and utilized. Through subsequent years, Mayor Radio became Black Hills Power, Black Hills Energy. Black Hills Energy no longer has a need for that radio tower, and so they are wanting to give it to us in order for us to utilize that equipment on there. We find a need for that equipment. It's on property. It's about 750 square feet of Dinosaur Park that we have that tower on. Centrally located, able to reach it from both sides of the city. We personally, the city, our fire department has our backup repeater up on there. So if the state radio system goes down, then we're able to still utilize that repeater within the city limits. There's several other entities that have their repeaters on there, to include RCAS and MDU. There will be some revenue generated from there, and it should offset quite a bit of the cost of what it will cost the city of Rapid City to operate that tower. So, any questions on that one?
Mr. Evans? Good.
There it is. Yeah, I'm just wondering what the logic is behind turning things over and then, well, you know, they didn't want it in the first place, we're turning it back. We seem to have this habit of giving away city property that we're not using right this second, and then we need it. Take, for instance, that Mission, which we could have easily used that entire site to expand the new fire station, which we needed. So in retrospect, these giving things away to all these entities makes no sense. What was the logic, and you probably didn't do it, behind signing that land over in the first place rather than just giving them a lease? Would have saved all this trouble.
So yeah, there was going to be a lease, but we were able to put our radio equipment on it for free, so we weren't having to pay for that.
Oh, so there was a benefit.
There was a benefit to the city of Rapid City for that, yes. So
Okay.
we haven't paid any type of lease agreement or tower agreement, and we've allowed them to have that tower on that piece of property. as a
Okay,
city.
well, I guess that could have been done with us just letting them have the land, putting their tower up anyhow, and allowing them to use it free of charge. So just seems like we go through a lot of rigmarole that is unnecessary. Just a question and a comment. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else have any? If not,
Our second, number 14, is coincides with some of our fee increases for the South Dakota Department of Public Safety wildland. So this is just our cooperative agreement, much like a mutual aid agreement, but a little more in depth with the state of South Dakota and their wildland. Since we utilize them when we go out of state and are able to charge other entities for that, it's all goes through the state of South Dakota. So we have to have this cooperative agreement. We sign it every year, and have been doing it for years.
thank you. If we have no questions, we'll move on to item 15 from the attorney's office.
Mr. Chair, I'll actually take this one. If you all recall at your September 5th budget hearing, there was a discussion brought up about the city joining the founding five for the Rapid City Sports Commission, which was a request for $125,000 total and $25,000 increments for 5 years. And the council decided to amend the 2024 budget to include $75,000 in the first year, and then that there would be two additional payments of $25,000 in 2025 and 2026. So the budget was approved, including this amount in 2024, and this agreement essentially carries out that decision by entering into an agreement so the finance office can legally pay the $75,000 in 2024. And in my discussions with the mayor, he indicated that if the council approves this agreement, it does acknowledge the $25,000 payments in 25 and 26, that he would include those just as part of his 25 and 26 budgets. So really, it's just implementing the decision that was made on September 5th. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. I also would point out there's representatives of Visit Rapid City and the Sports Commission in the audience if you have specific questions about the request or the method in which the funds will be used.
Mr. Evans.
Yeah, I was debating whether to wait until Monday night to say this, but I'll probably say it both times. Now, you guys, those guys that are here representing that, know I'm totally in favor of this. So it's not a matter of I don't want to see this happen, but we have to be realistic when we're discussing costs for things. And it's too bad Mr. Pettigrew isn't here to enter into this one, because the reality is we're investing in basically a kind of a lobbying group that's going to use our money to come back and ask us for more money later on. And that's what it amounts to. And that's not necessarily bad. It's like research we're doing for the pool or whatever. But we have to be aware when we start nitpicking and pinching pennies that there's lots of ways to invest in our community. And we have to stop addressing some positively and instantly discounting others as negative based upon who's asking for it. Because it's become apparent to me over the last 4 years, we're readily willing to offer funds to very wealthy entities or people that already have something. And we're very quick to discount those entities that have nothing. And that bothers me a little bit ethically and morally. So I'm just going to point that out, that we need to be a little more holistic in our thinking about this. So I just wanted to make that comment. I'm probably going to make it again on Monday night because I think the people need to hear that. Thank you.
Thank you. Lindsay, did you want to speak?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Yes, thank you, Chair. I just wanted to say I appreciate you putting this together, Joel, and just confirming in the future years that this is funded. I think this work is an important effort to review our existing facilities and hopefully help us as a community better serve and attract in that area and for tourism and our students. thank you for what you do and appreciate that. Thanks.
Thank you. If we don't have any other questions from the dais, I'll look for a motion on items 1 through 15.
Second.
Have a motion by Councilman Mahar. I can't even pronounce your name. Mahar. God, I know. Maybe 4 years. I think I did too. And a second from Councilman Evans. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. We'll go on to non-consent items, items 16 through 18. I will open public comment. I don't see anybody that wants to speak, so I will close public comment. We'll move on to item 16 from the Finance Department. This is second reading and recommendation of ordinance number 6592 and ordinance regarding supplemental appropriation number 5 for 2023. And I will turn it over to the Finance Department.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. This item has not changed from the first reading. I do want to point out, though, that this is what I was trying to refer to about not having additional money left over in the general fund with these supplemental appropriations, as well as the undesignated cash that we're using to balance the 2024 budget. We are hoping for some budget savings this year, as well as the extra revenue that we have from sales tax in order to hopefully have some undesignated cash in January this year, but things are getting far tighter.
Thank you. I appreciate that. If I don't have anyone else? We have a motion to approve and a second. I won't pronounce last names and I don't screw up. All in favor? Say aye. All opposed? Motion passes. I just thought it'd be easier. Community Development, item 17, approve resolution number 2023-080, a resolution to adopt amendment number 1 to TID number 84, East Anamosa Street, for property generally described as being located east of East North Street, north of South Dakota Highway 44, west of Elkvale, and south of Eglin Street. And I will go over to Community Development.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You may recall that you saw this on your agenda a meeting ago. After you did recommend to approve it, it was brought to our attention that the item didn't go directly to the following city council meeting. It had to skip a meeting. And so the decision was made that it needed to be heard at committee directly before council. So we would just request that you uphold your decision to recommend approval of this request as you did the last go round.
Move to reapprove.
Have a motion to approve and a second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. Item number 18, authorize mayor and finance director to sign First Amendment to contract for construction of public improvements by private developer for tax increment district number 84 between Yasmin Dream LLC and the city of Rapid City.
Thank you. I'm going to speak on this one, Mr. Chair.
You're welcome.
Okay, so this deals with TIF 84 again, and it is the amendment to the original TIF developers agreement, and it just basically piggybacks off of the project plan changes, and those are that the booster station will now be funded by the developer. There's going to be some arterial streetlights along East Anamosa Street, which will be funded by the developer, and Mickelson Drive reconstruction, about 1,900 feet of that, will be funded by the developer. So booster station by city, and then the other things are by the developer.
Any questions on this? If not, I'll look for a motion.
Second.
Have a motion by Bieberdorf, a second by Evans. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. And I'll look for a motion to adjourn.
Well, I just want to say one thing before we go. There it is. We had the All-State Chorus and Orchestra hosted at the Civic Center this last week. And I got to tell you, I've been going to those things since 1979, every single year, whether it's here, Sioux Falls, Aberdeen, whoever. The last few years, it's always been in Sioux Falls and Rapid City. We alternate because we're the only places with enough hotel space to handle it. Our Civic Center crew did the greatest job imaginable of hosting this, and the sound at the concert was absolutely spectacular. You would have sworn you were sitting in some part with the Boston Pops on the Esplanade doing it. They did a tremendous job, and they were really willing to work with people. So I'm probably going to acknowledge that again on Monday night, because it's really important that they hear job well done sometimes. So just want to bring that up.
Thank you. Now I'll look for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Have a motion to adjourn and a second. All in favor? Thank you.